And welcome back to the Tiffany and Tyron podcast.
Welcome back, listeners.
How you doing, Tyron?
I am doing fantastic.
Well, that's good.
You?
Yeah, I'm fantastic as well.
Yeah.
So the topic today is the gray rock method. You know about this one.
Oh, yeah, I do. I did some research way back when,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and yeah, when I first learned about the gray rock method, I was a little bit like confused.
hmm
I was like, "Well, how's this going to work?"
Yeah, because you don't fully understand them yet.
No, you don't. In fact, if you're hearing this episode and you're wondering, what is that? It's probably your first exposure to it. Nevertheless, it was kind of the same thing for me when I first heard about it. It was because over time, I was researching and looking for solutions to fix my relationship.
hmm
And I was feeling stressed out and feeling like if I was a problem.
Yep.
And the more I listened to, like I said, YouTube channels like Dr. Ramini and similar, presenters, I realized that I was in an abusive relationship and that I was being manipulated and basically traumatized by the effects of said relationship. And after about 3 or 4 months, I stumbled across what they call this gray rock method. And I was like, okay, I can't see how that's going to work, but I'm going to try it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, back when you were doing all that research, like I said, I did some research back when I was with the first Narc.
Mhm.
I came across this article on Facebook, I think it was, Signs of a Narcissist, and I read it, and I'm like, huh, well, he's got a lot of those things, and but I couldn't fully accept that he was. 'Cause I didn't know
Well, here's the thing, too, right? When you first discover that word narcissist, in the
Mhm.
sense of your exposure to the experience of being abused, it doesn't make any sense because narcissists are usually that mastermind criminal on television or a movie, you know, and it's that psychotic person that does the most crazy things. It's never that subtle,
Yeah,
loving, kind, occasionally
yeah.
person that you live with. You don't see them like that. You
hmm
don't see them as threatening. You don't see them as a danger to you. No, so you don't apply that word to them.
Like you think of a serial killer or something,
Yes.
or psychopath, or
Like even things like like when you watch those shows where like somebody's a fan or something and they stop, like those are the things that you kind of associate,
yeah,
with the idea.
yeah, the extreme cases.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's not what it is in real life. I mean, there are some of those, of course,
Yes.
but
It's not your everyday person,
yeah,
no.
the everyday narcissist is charming, kind, thoughtful, funny. Well, sometimes mine wasn't really, but charming.
Well, you say that no because you know better. It was truly when you first met
Oh,
them.
charming, yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Yeah, and then you kind of overlooked it, and even if it doesn't last forever,
mm.
when you first encounter them,
Yeah. They're the nicest people in the whole world.
yes. And not only that, they have enough people around them
hmm
that say they are.
I experienced that too.
And so, they have their little flying monkeys, as they're called.
hmm
Apparently, that's a scientific term. You are in a great relationship because,
Yeah.
yeah. So, tell me, what was it like when you first discovered the gray rock method? Because for me, I didn't believe it. I didn't think it was something that could work. It just seemed a little crazy. Did it feel like that to you?
Feel like it didn't feel crazy. Like so, you basically introduced me to it because you were doing more research at that time than I
Yes.
was. Because I didn't want to accept that I got into another narcissistic relationship. So
Sure.
I was in a place to do that kind of research yet.
hmm
And So the second one was treating me like shit and saying stupid stuff all the time. Like we'd be talking about his ex-wife with a couple of friends, and she was going after his money, and as a joke,
Mm.
what he would claim, but it was absolutely not. Uh, so he said something to the effect that if we ever split up and you try to take my money, I'll dig a hole and bury you in it. Oh yeah, around other people, and like it wasn't a joke. Like he wasn't even smiling, but they always find a way to turn around saying, "Oh, I was only joking." So watch out for that. Yeah, nobody else laughed, and he said this several times. Like it wasn't just once.
Something that meant something to him, I guess.
Hmm. So little things. I say little things, but that was becoming a big thing because it had been repeated around people. Never just the two of us. It was always around an audience.
I like the fact that you said little things. I used to have that approach. I used to think of things as being little, and that's why I used to put them off.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to correct myself. Like they seem like little things at the time, but those little things are not little things.
No, they're huge.
Hmm.
But again, life teaches us to be relative.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, if somebody pinches you, you consider it a little annoyance.
Mhm.
But if they slap you, you consider that, relatively, in relation to the pinch.
Yeah, it's always you're always comparing it with something else.
Exactly. But if I were to say to you, snake bite, mosquito bite, you would automatically think relatively, well, snakes are poisonous, snakes are this, they're probably bigger, you know, give me the mosquito bite.
Allergic to mosquitoes.
Or mosquito has malaria. You see what I'm saying, right? You might swell up a bit from the snake bite, but you may not die. They get you to the hospital in time. Blah blah blah. Malaria is a little bit more difficult to treat. Exactly, right? It's a little thing, and therefore context, right, will always throw you off when you're being abused, and this is the strength actually of employing the gray rock method, and that's what I learned. So, you know, you're hearing gray rock, gray rock, gray rock. I'm going to repeat it many times. Gray rock. What does it really mean? What you're basically doing in the gray rock method is that you are removing the emotional supply that you're usually feeding your narcissist and you don't even know it. And the whole point of the gray rock method is almost like playing dead. You
Yeah.
become, simply uninterested, and your narcissistic abuser becomes bored with you and they leave you alone. No. Is it that simple? No.
It is not.
It is not. Why is it not that simple? Relationship matters.
Mm.
So, for example, if you're being abused, let's say at work, I had a very similar situation at a place that I work at one time. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know the place. And, and I was being abused constantly. There was this guy who would go around and make up stories about me, tell lies about me. We weren't friends. He doesn't know me. But every single time there was a problem, someone would treat me a certain way and I'd be totally confused. And then they interact with me and they get to know how awesome I am. And then they're like confused about it. And then they mention.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
someone was the same person telling the same lie, telling the same stories.
Yeah, you've flipped a few people that that
Yeah,
guy tried to.
yeah. And the thing about it is, like, once you understand the gray rock method, you can use it for people like this. And it's very effective.
Yeah. Yeah, for work situations, yeah, it's
Brilliant. Yeah, because then you notice he stopped coming around.
oh yeah.
He wouldn't visit anymore. He had nothing else to say after a while because I never gave him any interest. I never gave him any power. You get what I'm saying, right? Narcissists are emotional vampires. They need to suck on your responses. They need to feed on your a
Yeah.
lot of information or to give up
Yeah.
your power and to allow them to make you angry or make you upset.
Yeah. And the people pleaser thing is a big part of that too.
Exactly. So the beauty of learning the gray rock method and applying it to a workplace situation or any other kind of social setting
Hmm.
where you don't live with that person.
Yeah, those are definitely a lot easier.
It's much easier, it's more effective, you know, you're cordial,
Mhm.
you're respectful, but you're very neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. Just emotionless.
Exactly.
Like,
You give up nothing. It's a flat line.
yeah.
It's like playing dead, like I said, There's that big bad bear and he's rah, 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 rah. You're just there laying like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it works.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. But if you're living with the person,
Yeah. That's where it gets
it
dicey.
can be a little dicey. All right. So there's responses that will give you a little bit of a chill sometimes when you're living with the person, when they're accustomed to being able to easily trigger you or to get you to behave a certain way. When you stop responding to their triggers, well, it could turn aggressive. It could get scary. Precisely. So you want to play this right. So most narcissists aren't actually, very they don't go to the physical means very easily. Because most often, if you're already being physically abused, you just need to get away. But if you're just being emotionally abused, like we were,
That doesn't leave marks for anyone to
right?
see.
It's exactly. There's no marks. It's not obvious. So even to you, that's why we didn't leave because we didn't realize we were being abused,
Mhm.
and that's how they got us.
That seems so crazy when you say it out loud. You didn't know you were being abused. It sounds so weird. Like, how would you not know you're being abused? It happens so often.
Yes,
It's insane how common this is.
yes, and I've realized it. Because the truth is, I learned I was being abused by just being able to relate to a person like yourself, for example, who was able to identify
Yeah, yeah, it's same with you. When,
triggers, and he's like, "Well, I noticed that you do this when this happens. Yeah, I'll consider that maybe
yeah,
that seems manipulative." Because I'd be manipulative like that. So the fortunate thing was that our manipulations, even though similar in terms of effect, was I guess fortunate for us because here I am being abused by a female,
mm-hmm,
and there you are being abused by a male.
yeah.
So it kind of made it easier for us to be able to interact and compare stories eventually. Because even then, we were
No, you
hiding
didn't say anything about anything.
nothing, but you could tell from the effect.
Hmm.
Hey man, I know like how you look today. Is something wrong? You sure you okay? I wouldn't say a word.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
That's exactly what I would say.
Hmm.
And then you go, well, and then eventually, I ask a question or two, like, well, why do you think this? Or what do you and you're like, well, that sounds like the same thing would happen
Yeah,
here.
because I've been experiencing these things. For
Hmm.
some reason, it's easier to notice your experiences in somebody else's.
Yes.
Yeah, I now remember the first time you had met this one, the last one, last month or whatever. And well, he had asked me to get something from the store, and I told him they didn't have it. And I had him on speaker, and when I got off the phone with him, you said something. You couldn't hold it back anymore.
Oh yeah, that's really funny because I remember that afternoon. I happened to be going to the same store.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
it was
you needed washer
something,
leads.
yes, from my car.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just really funny because I remember coming across the car park and it's like, "Oh, fancy seeing you here. I just saw you 5 minutes ago. We were joking about that."
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, what do you need? I need this. What do you need?
yeah, and I thought I was being helpful, but yeah, to hear that conversation, ooh, that was a real eye opener because yeah, I recognize that tone. I recognize that condescending, insulting, humiliating tone where, like, if he wanted to get this very specific thing, well, what he just going to get himself? No, he asks you to get it. You don't know what it is. And he's telling you exactly what to do, but at the same time, it's also coming over in a way of, like, you idiot. I
Mhm.
can't believe you can't get this. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, and I did not even recognize that at that time.
Well, not only that, but the person that I'm accustomed working with at the time,
Mm.
I didn't recognize her because your responses were childlike and muted and soft. And it's like, when I talk to you, you're a lot more snappy and quicker and retorts are flying. You can manage yourself.
Hmm.
But here I was watching you power and just try to please that person so much. And I
So
was,
you saw me change.
yes,
You witnessed the effect that his tone
yeah,
and words had on me and how I reacted to it.
yes. When you first called, when you got there, you said, "Hey, I'm in the aisle. You told me, and I don't see this thing." You were confident.
Yeah, they didn't have it.
And the moment he switched to the tone, where he started to talk down to you, like an abusive parent talking to a little child.
Mm.
What do you mean it's not there? It should be on the shelf at the bottom. Did you look at the bottom?
Use their head
And
and
that's exactly what you did. And you went back and you got help. And remember, I started talking to the store associate, and they were like, "Sorry, but we don't really." And he's just going at it. I'm online right now, and it says that they have some. And yeah, the emotions. And I'm just there standing. I'm observing this thing, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
see, this was normal to me. I was used to being talked to like this. So I didn't think anything of it because it was my normal.
Which was so surprising to me because I always envisioned that you had this wonderful, loving relationship based on your stories that you told.
Yep, based on my what's that word? Not imagination. Yeah, maybe use imagination.
Hmm.
Like the imaginary relationship I thought I had. That's what I was projecting to other people is this idea in my mind of the kind of relationship that I had that wasn't real.
So that's the beauty of the gray rock method. See, when you start to apply the gray rock method, people kind of sell it to you as, yeah, you need to do this to get rid of your narcissist.
Mm,
Yeah, you will, but you don't get rid of a narcissist that way.
it's a step, like there's steps to this. It's not just one thing and then they're gone. Like
Well, not only that, but like you're not getting rid of a person that you're gonna kill them or something. Like that's a person that you genuinely love. And that's a person who has mental health issues. Right? So they're still human. They're still just like us, kind of. It's just that our mental health issue resulted in a codependent behavior, and their mental health issue resulted in a narcissistic
yeah,
behavior.
it's like the two ends of
Yeah.
the spectrum. You could either
It go either way, right? But you we both exposed to some sort of trauma-inducing effect, and some people come out one way, some come out another.
yep, that's how it happened.
That's just how it happens, right? So it's not about getting rid of a person, but it's about bringing self-healing and self-care to
Mhm.
you
Protecting yourself.
and protecting yourself. So the gray rock method is really like a cold turkey method that helps
Mhm.
you get off of your codependent addiction. It forces you to really listen to what that person is saying to you. And no response from you, or very little response.
Mhm.
And what does that do? It leaves you with more listening. And then you begin to realize, I don't think I really like how you talk to me. I'm now seeing it more.
So I was, like I said, I was used to being talked to like that.
Mhm.
So it was my normal. So I wouldn't, like with the first one, he would yell at me, call me names, all kinds of shit. And at some point, my brain just, like when he raised his voice, it just it shut everything off. Like I couldn't hear what he was saying.
Mhm.
And so that carried on until the next one. So when he would do that, he would go off on me. My brain would just shut it off and I wouldn't hear what he was saying. But when the first time I used the gray rock method,
Mhm.
the things he was saying, I realized it made no sense. Like it was nothing.
Yes.
It's and it makes it sound like it's something when they've got that tone, but it's really absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because they don't have anything on you.
No, they that's all they have. They have their tone and their anger, or as the last one, frustration. I'm not angry. I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, but it's all directed at you.
Mhm, absolutely.
And the intent is to get a response out of you. Because the way how functional people operate is if you're feeling frustrated, you deal with your frustration. You don't pass it off to somebody else and have them fix it for you.
Or you have like a mature adult conversation. Hey, like this thing, was kind of annoying that, let's talk about, well, I don't know.
Well, no, I don't disagree with you in that sense, but let's be very specific about it. So if you're in a relationship, all right, and a person does something to you that you don't like, why does it have to reach the place of frustration
Mhm.
in order for you to deal with it?
Because you're dealing with an emotionally unintelligent.
That's what I'm saying. So my point is the moment that a person does something that you don't like, if you're in a great relationship, you can say something about it. Hey, I don't really like that. Like, here's a good one for you. You don't like beer. So if a person makes you a beer or buys you a beer, what do you say? Thanks, but I don't like beer. And in a functional relationship, that person says, sorry, I didn't know. I wouldn't get you a beer anymore. All right. And that's the end of it. So you don't ever have to be frustrated. Functional relationships are not frustrating.
Yeah, that's what I've come to realize.
Right? But everyone else says that, well, this is just how relationships are. You should expect these things. No, you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. And I know everybody's going to say, oh, get your head out the clouds and whatever. Tyrone, you're an idiot. Of course, this is what relationships are. No, they're not.
Hmm.
They're only like that if you decide to participate.
Absolutely.
When you start to demand that your relationship that you want to be in will not meet those low level standards,
Mhm.
you will find relationships that you can actually exist in where people never treat you like crap.
Important thing. You can find a relationship where you can actually grow while being in a
Yes,
relationship. I didn't think that was a thing before. I didn't think it was a thing.
you couldn't grow. You didn't think you could
Not
grow.
in no, because my whole adult life I was with a narcissist and they don't grow, they don't change. So I didn't think it was a thing. Like, oh, okay. This is 20 years now. I guess this is how men are. I guess this is just how it is.
So basically, then your good old relationship plan was at the time. You just find ways to cope.
Mm,
All
this
right.
is as good as it gets kind of thing.
Yeah. So if he comes home and he's angry, you better know what to do to calm him down.
You
Oh my God.
gotta have the right explanation and
And then he makes up for it by bringing you flowers.
um,
You know what I'm saying? It's like this is just a typical bullshit relationship that everyone says this is how it is. There's nothing you can do about it.
mhm,
And then when you try to explain them, well, actually, I would like a relationship that's functional, where I don't have to do any of that stuff. And what do they say? Well, that's boring. Some people just like drama, don't they?
absolutely.
Yeah, not for me.
I want a simple, easy, just yeah, no drama. I'm done with the drama. I've had enough of drama. I want to, if that's boring, I want a boring life. I want a boring relationship. That's what these people, these drama loving people think it is. Yeah.
Precisely. And here's the thing: we hold on because we don't want to let go of, the group,
Hmm.
not just the narcissists, but everything that comes with it.
Yeah.
Because we think, well, you're just all around us anyway. We can just try to make this better. Uh, you know,
Hmm.
when you learn to gray rock, when you really learn to gray rock, you cannot unsee, you
Hmm.
cannot unhear anything that you've experienced.
Everything is so much clearer.
Yes. And it's great for you.
Hmm. Building the courage to do it though, that's another thing.
Yes.
So the first time I did it with the second one,
Mhm.
well, I didn't even know about it with the first, so that's a write-off. But the second one, the first time I did it, we were on a road trip. And like I said, I didn't like how he'd been treating me and making all these what he called jokes that, put me down, humiliated me. I wanted to have a good talk about it because in the beginning, he always said, if there's anything that I do or say that you don't like, please, please, let's talk about it. I want you to come to me and we can talk about it. His words. But then when I went to talk about it, he got all angry, started yelling,
So
and
you're on a road trip
yeah, in a vehicle.
and someone is yelling at you.
Or he's driving.
Okay.
So yeah, um, I was advised to do it outside of the home, outside of the comfort zone of
Mhm.
this person.
Yeah, you're trapped in a vehicle, so they can't go anywhere.
Exactly.
Hmm.
They can't, yeah, they can't walk away, they can't leave, whatever. So he started getting angry, and of course, they expect you to match their emotions, right? And I just stayed. I mean, I was calm on the outside, I was freaking out on the inside. Like, building up the courage to have this conversation was really, really difficult. I was agonizing over it for like half an hour at least, maybe even longer, trying to build up the courage. I was terrified because I knew his reaction would be anger
Yeah.
because I was used to that. So when I didn't match his emotions, at first he got even more angry. And then he realized I wasn't matching his emotions. And then he came back down because another thing about the gray rock is when they can hear themselves, because when you match their emotions, you have that back and forth thing going on, right? But when you use the gray rock method and it's just them yelling and screaming, they can actually hear themselves then. And then they realize, why am I yelling and screaming? They're not yelling and screaming, so they can hear themselves better. So that's what happened. And then he came down, he started calming down when he realized I wasn't matching his stupid nothing
So here's the
emotions.
thing. So the anger and shouting stops, and then they go to another method because that anger
Mm,
and shouting didn't work.
working, right.
So what did he do next? Because their only objective, unfortunately, is to get you to see things the way how they see it and to continue to see life the way how they want you to see it. So you could just continue to operate in that codependent way that they have grown accustomed to. But that's the comfort level for them. That's their comfort zone. So going quieter, but then they go to what? The voice of reason.
I remember just now what happened after the anger. Then it started like I think he started getting emotional.
But he was already being
Well, I
emotional.
mean,
But
like
what did he do? He just did
like
emotional.
it went from anger to more sadness. Like more his energy came down and he was trying to portray that, that weaker type energy. Yeah, and he's like he made it seem like he's trying to be so reasonable and I love you and all that crap that I used to fall for before.
Because now you're able to see it more clearly. It's the same effect. I'm shouting at you. I want to control you. I'm angry, angry, angry. Oh no, it's not working. I'm so sad. How could you think this of me? Why would you say that about me? Can't you see how much I love you? That's what gray rock does for you. It opens your eyes to everything that they're gonna try to work you with.
Yeah, that's amazing. And once you notice their cycles, the stages that they go through, that's all they've got. And they just keep repeating.
Yes,
It's not necessarily in order, but the stages are all the same.
the relationship has never really been going anywhere at any point in time ever.
No,
And as long as they can keep that possession in place and keep everything the way how they like it, as far as everyone is concerned, you're having a great relationship.
as long as they can keep you compliant.
And the problem with that is you're not having a good relationship and you know it.
Yeah,
It hurts.
you lie to yourself about it all the time. And then, yeah,
So
stress.
relieve yourself of some stress. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what we did. Do your gray rock method research. Go out there and give it a shot. Take care of yourself. Thanks for listening to the Tiffany and Tyrone podcast.